A few years back, I got no attraction from girls whatsoever, and then from one day to another, a girl just said she liked me. And this is where it all flipped for me, because now I had this attention from the girls while the other guys were talked about for years already. And this made me feel like I was bigger than I actually was. This messed with my ego, you might know this. So what ended up happening is that I wanted a girl as my girlfriend and pursued her, texted her. But also on the side, I wrote with another girl, texted with her, both in a romantic, flirty way. I knew that one of them was going to be my future girlfriend. Then someday in school, they talk with each other. And when they did, they must have been talking about me as well. And they figured it out that I was texting with both of them in a flirty way. So they got upset and never talked to me again. Understandably. At first, I thought it was not my fault and that I could have multiple women at once. Andrew Tate was going viral at the time, so I guess that also played into it. I actually saw a problem in myself and saw that, okay, if I actually want to have a good relationship in the future, I cannot mess around with multiple girls at the same time. I would have to devote to woman, to only one woman, if I also want her to devote to me. It was the day that I actually built up some principles and also held the standards for myself that I put onto the girls that I pursued. So what I think is most important in this video is have principles. And if you do not have them yet, build them. Principles will give you direction always, and they will also help other people respect you more. Because if you are holding up to your own truth and do the right thing ethically, then because of course then people will respect you because you seem like the person who knows what they're doing and also that can be trusted. Think about your future wife right now, which would be your optimal case. Would she be the 200-pound lady? Would she scroll on TikTok the whole time? Of course she would not, right? So if she can't be on TikTok, then what's the equivalent for you? Probably also social media or video games. So if you really want to go hard on this and develop in a way that your future woman should be the optimal case, you also have to be the optimal case for her, right? So you can't play video games all day. Maybe healthy nutrition is also the way for her, right? So you must eat healthy as well and can't consume these beers and Red Bulls. The first time I heard this was in a mosque, and when I heard this, it made so much sense to me. I didn't have this on screen at first because it seems so obvious that you just overlook it, right? But people just forget that they also have to develop themselves in a relationship. Because nowadays we talk about, okay, have standards and don't go for the first and best choice you have. Wait a bit. But we actually don't talk about if you want to get a better wife in the future, then you yourself have to improve as well. Imagine the guy who got a good job, mediocre job in an office, and then wants the top 10% Russian girl with a good family, with good values, that will cook for him every day and hold him when he's sad. Do you think the guy with the kind of crumbling beard could get her? If he didn't build the standards up, if he's talking to 10 girls on Instagram at the same time and he's being kind of a creep towards them, do you think that he could, in any world, actually get his dream girl? Of course not, right? We all have the perfect version of our future wife, right? But if we look at ourselves right now, maybe you are doing the work that you need to do to evolve and improve as a person. But to those who aren't and still expect to get the girlfriend that loves them, even though they are on Discords and playing video games the whole time, the whole day, not going to school because of it, then it wouldn't work out. I think it's a brutal fact that actually there are these levels and leagues of people, but you can't really get this onto looks because the best wives have the ugliest husband. In Russia, for example, there are these women who have these traditional values and give everything, give their loves to their husbands, but the husbands are ugly. So if you think looks do matter in this regard, they do not. It's actually more about the values that you hold in life, how much direction you actually have, how much drive you have. Because quite honestly, you look around yourself right now in this world, and in the city, there's these guys with the AirPods in looking at the ground, looking at their phone, seemingly going nowhere. And then in your school, in your class, all around you, there's these guys which play Brawl Stars. They don't actually care so much about life. So I think this has also to do with the modern world and all the distractions and addictions, of course. But do you think your future woman would get distracted by these things, or would she actually have the clarity to look through all these distractions? She would have, so you would need to have that as well. If you're the guy who wants to be the cool husband, which doesn't spend so much time with his wife, which is fine, but then also doesn't make her feel appreciated and loved, this will lead to a massive problem. Because back to this, like, if you want to be loved, you have to be loving as well. But being loving is actually something you have to learn, and you can't just put out all these compliments. I think I speak for a lot of women if I would say that the women don't actually want to choose all the time. They don't want to make the choices, they actually want to relax a bit. So you could demonstrate your direction and make the choices for them. Also, be calm and show kind of that you've got it all right now. You need to have purpose for this as well. If you want to have a top 1% relationship, then it's also about kind of being independent of the relationship, if you get what I'm saying. You need to have a purpose always in life. And you can kind of see why, if you know your purpose, your woman would kind of trust you more. If you knew where. So, in that regard, even treat her kind of like your daughter. Be loving towards her no matter what. If she just broke something or got like angry, the worst thing you could do is show this kind of back and reciprocate the hate that she feels right now. She wants unconditional love, so show it to her. If you're feeling insecure or you're feeling that the relationship is kind of going down right now, and you know the reason for it, you would have to communicate this. I know it feels kind of weird because we have this picture of men that don't show any weakness and vulnerability. Like, to me, that was the case. And actually, if you show that vulnerability to your woman who you would want to be with in the future, of course, you would want to show some vulnerability to her and through that get a relationship to thrive again. Because in the long term, like in the short term, of course, the cool guy in the club attracts her and then gets one night with her. But you would actually want a life ahead of you, right? So there will be days in which you will be kind of slacking off. And the goal of this whole relationship will be to grow together and be happy, right? So if there is something concerning you, you should speak that out. It's not weak, it's not sensitive, it's just you want to make the relationship grow as well. And so you have to eliminate the things that kind of pull it down, right? This is just a 101. And you don't have to be afraid of that. If she would be getting defensive and lashing out at you, if you said something like, I'm feeling like this, could we change this? Could we meet up more often? I'm feeling kind of lonely. Then, if she turns this back at you and says, it's aggressive towards you, right? So, oh, you're so weak. Why can we not just spend 1 week apart in so little time? Then you would know this is not the one you would want to get your future with. Also, a whole deal of this is compatibility. So, if you can't grow together and be together, if there are so many things that are wrong with you both, like in the best case, you would end up with a woman that is willing to grow as well. But there's some Veronicas which just don't want to get up to the level, to not be the goddess to the warrior. And they will stay in the bucket, and it's easier to get rid of her. I can't get rid of her, but let go of her now so that in future, you could break up in 6 months with her, or you could break up with her now. And then, would you really want to waste 6 months, which you could heal from this whole experience? Would you actually rather stay and feel the pain right now, knowing that you're going to break up? You know the obvious choice right here, and if you respect yourself, you would also just go away from these relationships and search for something better. Of course, you should not go into a relationship with the thoughts of, okay, I'm gonna leave her eventually. You should want to commit to a relationship so much that you actually would work on it as much as you can. But if there's these things that can't be communicated and you can't seem to get right, then sit down and have a serious conversation. And then if it still doesn't work, you will be out of there. You could see the person that uses 70% of their time to kind of get better in a skill and better in life, then he would also attract people that are also spending their time wisely. The guy that knows how to market this product would not be spending with the guys that play video games and consume some weird, edgy content on YouTube. They would also want to have an equal, like in business or in romance. So it just makes sense why you would want to spend as much time as possible to get yourself a better life, but then also the objectively better person in the end. The experience I had when I was lonely was that I was just thinking, okay, I need to get something right now. I want a partner, I don't want to be alone anymore. And if you do this, you will end up choosing like the worst people, the worst goals, because the further down someone is, the you could look down at them and then get them easier, right? It's difficult to find people that are using their time really productively and try to grow, that care enough about life. Of course, it would be easier to go for the bottom of the bucket, but you don't actually want these people. So, being alone for quite a while is actually better than meant to be with the wrong person that you know doesn't appeal to your standards. Always keep up to your standards. Also, hold yourself accountable for the things you do. If your actions are immoral and you have this weird energy about you that people will feel if you have hate in yourself, if you think unwell over the world. In addition to that, there's also this neat trick I learned that people will pick up if you want to say something but then don't say it. So it comes down to authenticity in this regard. So if you want to have an honest relationship with a good woman, right, you would of course need to get the authentic version of yourself into herself. Because if you're kind of blocked off to each other, it wouldn't work. So you yourself have to be authentic and don't try to be anything more than you are. Of course, you should look at the man you want to become and then act like him. But if you suppress your feelings or you want to do something but then don't do it, it will change the perception of the woman you will get. You could imagine how this one impulse in public that seems kind of weird to most people, but appeals to a few girls, would actually pull them more towards you. And then automatically you filter out the girls you would want over time. And this is kind of the goal, to be authentic and don't suppress anything, and then also get the woman that finds this attractive, who likes you for you, not the person that is pretending to be somebody else and can't live properly. If you have habits and authentic impulses that seem kind of weird to you, some girls might actually find those appealing. But if you think that these are really weird thoughts and impulses, then it might be true. So if you think, yeah, I'd rather not be this and thinking this, then, for example, if you over sexualize girls in your mind and you don't actually want to be the guy that degenerate who thinks about girls only in this regard, right? Then you would have to work on this as well, to change your authenticity in a way, like your character in a way that does not resemble this anymore. Because if you're authentic and you show these wrong colors, which you don't even like about yourself and will eventually get rid of, then the woman which gets pulled towards this, it's like kind of this fake hook, right? And she might actually like this so much that you get into a loving relationship, but then you feel something is wrong. and now you've dropped this part and it's kind of less attraction, and you get what I'm saying here, right? I hope this video gives you perspective and that you can get into a more serious, better relationship through the advice I gave. This would mean a lot to me. Until then, stay safe, stay true to your purpose and your truth, and see you then.